All right, welcome everybody to NostrDevs number 3. Woo! It's a thing now, guys. Three times makes it official. So we're gonna go over. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do because we're starting to get a flow. I'm going to start with a video where a guy named Max goes over his favorite things about Nostr, and which I kind of wrote down here. Then I'm gonna talk about some other stuff, and then he's gonna talk about some stuff. And anyone who wants to, just like come up to the mic at any time and just tell us what you're thinking about Nostr or about stuff we forgot. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get started. First thing, there's this rich guy named Max. There's two things I know about him. He's super rich and he's super intelligent, and that's about all I know about this guy. Well, he sometimes hangs out with us. But recently he hung out with somebody else, and he talked about his favorite things about Nostr, and I thought he'd put it very eloquently. Yeah. So we're going to listen to a few seconds of this guy talking about his favorite things about Nostr.
There's these two nationals. These are two. And whenever I can show this to someone, one of those nationals is you just that's mind blowing. Yeah, like everyone should actually just no, but it works and all the way around. Including beyond. So the only one works, right? So that's why I'm super convinced of it's when you see that experience, everyone's eyes like, oh shit. Yeah. The second match is
Logan indicates that there may be technical issues.
The full screen doesn't work on recording.
So what should I do?
Is being able to portrait activity or one. Yeah. Now, in the early days, when I first used to show people that my young dogs and now so but even bigger is I created an account without Twitter. I'm going to go log into App Store, which is a music site, right? Or plebLab.news, right? Which is a long website. This new FOSS FT wall marketplaces, which is our list. And then that's when people start going, oh my god, this is so much bigger than this is much bigger than Twitter and social media were real. Right.
So that's pretty cool. I thought he very eloquently explained the reason why, we gather in this place and we're like, this is something to keep working on. This is something to build. This is something to be devs for. It's because there's a lot of wow moments. So I wrote them down. The zaps are proof that Bitcoin works better than everything else. It's really cool that you can get the same feed on two different social media sites. It's really cool that you can use wildly different services like obli.news and Zapster and still have the same, you can port your account between these things. But I had a fourth wow moment, which he didn't mention in that clip, which I think is also something that you can show people that is like, that they've never seen before. You can't do this on any other social media. If I go to primal.net, as just one example, they've got this nice easy button right here called Nostr Highlights. And you can click that and you can view someone else's view of Nostr. Like if I want to see what Jack Dorsey sees when he logs into Nostr, this is what Jack Dorsey's feed looks like. And you can just kind of take over sort of someone else's account, or not take it over, but at least view it as them. And that is a really mind-blowing feature that like no other platform lets you do that. So those are just some of the things that I find really mind-blowing. And if you're trying to onboard somebody to Nostr, maybe show them these things. If you're trying to say like, yeah, I'm part of this new Nostr thing, and they're like, well, show me it. Why is it cooler than Twitter? Show them these things. You can't do zaps on Twitter. You can't have the same feed on many different clients. Well, you can with Twitter because they have an API. But most sites don't let you do that. You can use it on wildly different services, the same account, and you can view other people's feed as them, which is cool. Show them those things. Anyone else got any thoughts on really mind-blowing things about Nostr that are like wow moments for people? What do you got? Yeah, so Topher just said badges are cool. So what's the website for badges? I forget. Badges.page. Pretty simple. And yeah, you can, on Twitter, the only badge you get is the blue check mark. But with Nostr, you can build whatever badges you want. You just sign in and start issuing badges to people. And you can use that for all sorts of authentication and stuff. So that's a great one. Anyone else got a cool thing about Nostr that's like mind-blowing and you'd love to share this with people? Topher's got another one. He said Nostr directory is really cool. So Nostr directory. I'm not sure the website. Oh, Nostr.band. Yeah, Nostr band is pretty cool. It is because discovery is a difficulty on Nostr, right? I know. I talked to someone recently who said I tried to use Nostr, and so I downloaded Damus, and all I saw was a bunch of posts by Jack Dorsey. It was just a feed of Jack Dorsey posts. So I left because it was boring. It was just one guy talking on Nostr. It's like discovery is a problem with Nostr, and so it's tools like Nostr.band where you can help people go find other people on Nostr and follow them and fill your feed with other content is great.
Other problem with not being
Captain Stacks pointed out that different clients are connected to different relays and therefore they know different statistics about the network. But it's good to have a place where you can go and find out, for example, how many followers someone has. So, for example, let's just see who's winning. Captain Stacks currently has a certain number of followers, which is 1,988. And if we go over to Super Testnet, who's way cooler than Captain Stacks. Ooh, he's winning. Captain Stacks is winning against Super Testnet. Man, I got to bump those numbers up. What fascinates you, Jenna? So the question is, why is it called Nostr Band? I don't know. Anyone have any guesses why they called it that? It was Jana asked, maybe it's just because it's available. That's possible. I have no idea. Yeah, because it makes it sound like it's a band site, and this has nothing to do with bands. Yeah, like the bandwidth. It could be short for bandwidth, which is where you find people on radio. You tune into the right bandwidth. So it could have something to do with that. Could be. Topher pointed out that you can use this to search for content on Nostr. So can you give an example search term that you used or something that, with what you search for, better keep it safe for work, actually. Kidding. So we're going to search just for content, right? Just for posts instead of profiles. And what do we get? Search. Yeah, so now we found stuff. So Google doesn't index WebSocket caches, so but Nostr does. So you can use this to find stuff that people are talking about, and it's a little different from like if I went to Twitter to try and find something, I'm only getting the content that's on Twitter. But with Nostr.band, you're getting content injected into Nostr from across a variety of different clients and relays, which I think is really cool. All right. Any other wow moments we got? He's got one.
I really find the NIP15, which is the Nostr stores, to be something very powerful, and we are, or at least I'm very excited for more of that.
Yeah, he pointed out NIP15 Nostr marketplaces, which we're gonna show off pretty soon. So that's got a section in here. So cool. That's one. All right. Has anyone had? By the way, if I get boring, if you start thinking I don't want to talk about this topic anymore, we've got a tag team thing going between me and Captain Stacks. So at any time, anyone can tag me out, and then Captain Stacks will come up and take over. Tag him out. Captain Stacks, come on up. What do you mean? You're not ready. You told me what you're going to do beforehand. Come on.
Hey, what's up, everyone? The stuff I wanted to talk about today, it all pertains to the client wars. So it may appear that everything is just fine and dandy in Nostrland, but there's actually a client war that's been underway for at least several weeks now, and I guess you might call it a soft war, if you're in the Jason Lowery's thesis. So essentially, what client wars are clients that decide they don't care about breaking things to try to push their vision of Nostr as a protocol or different implementations to try to push it forward. And I think that only Zaps might have been the like the opening shot in this client war. So is anyone here familiar with only Zaps? I know Max is. Okay. So it sounds, well, no, it sounds bad. Fortunately, it's actually taken on a more wholesome meaning. So originally, early on in Nostr, people were saying when only Zaps, like just thinking of like an OnlyFans client. And as far as I know, nobody has built that, but they probably will. What only Zaps has come to mean, though, is actually just the idea of having a client without the option to receive likes. So you're just using like exchange of monetary value to represent a true signal of liking something. Very similar to ideas like Stacker News, right? Where you upvote content based on sending Satoshis. So I thought it was a really cool idea. I wanted to play around with it. I wanted to see like, okay, what would my experience on Nostr be like if I wasn't giving or receiving likes, just zapping sats back and forth. Unfortunately, the Amethyst client that I use does not support. It has no ability to support only Zaps. It's more of a Damus thing, and I think this is where the vision of the developer behind Damus versus Vitor, who's behind Amethyst, I think it's where it really started to diverge, and that's when the client wars really got real, where you started having breaking changes and things that were not compatible. You know, with only Zaps, it doesn't really break anything. It's just like you're not able to get that experience. But then the true like breaking changes are things like file formats that aren't supported in content. One of the problems on Nostr is that if you upload an image, the image host could change that image later, and that could be damaging to your reputation, right? You might post something like, you know, you might post a nice meme saying, I support drive chain. And then the image host, they might come along and change it to say drive chain sucks. Like, you know, the way it is with posting images, there's no way for the client to actually verify, like to do a hash and verify that the image is correct. But this is easily solvable. Like we're already signing everything in Nostr. So why not sign the image with a hash, and the client can verify the hash and see if it was the original image. And there was a NIP to do this. NIP 94 defines a file event. And then when Vitor behind Amethyst started actually using it, everyone was like, no, that's not what we intended. We don't want you to actually use it that way. And Vitor's, his vision for Amethyst is a client that would support every event kind. Like, I don't know if he can realistically continue doing that, but to be able to support every kind of event. Like right now it supports badges. You can see when you get a badge award. It supports long format blog content, so you don't have to go to a different client like Obla News. You can just stay right within Amethyst and read that content. And he's supporting file formats these file events in a new way, where you can reference a file event right in your kind1 post, and then the client will verify the hash and show you a check mark if that's the original image. As far as I know, I don't think that Damus has any plans of supporting this. And so as a user, you kind of have the burden of deciding, do you want to post content that no one else can see? So this is where everyone here can actually be involved in client wars by making your own decisions about what client you want to run, or even potentially forking a client that you use. I mean, there's nothing to stop anyone here from making their own fork of Amethyst. Or you could fork a web client. It's probably easier. Any questions or thoughts about client wars? Okay.
Early client, like the last person, where in over billion client, bring clients up, we're in like
Early. Sure. So Austin brings up the point that we're really early in the process of client wars. We're still in a process of client discovery, of people just figuring out what kind of experience they want on Nostr, what kind of features they expect, and what clients they're going to use. But are you suggesting that we're in more of a relay war at this current moment? Okay. So I have my own thoughts on that. I'm very vocal. Go ahead. Wait, are you replacing me or just or having? Okay.
I guess I'll say my piece.
Okay.
Like I just think that like to say that we're in the client wars, like we're accepting the ways that things are for relays. Like I don't like how relays currently work. The experience changes drastically on your client depending on the relay that you're using. Relays are still implementing these different specs as well, and they're still deciding what specs to implement. There's also paid relays versus free relays, and these seem like totally inconsistent ideas for me, especially given that relays don't talk to each other. And like these are, I don't know, a lot of like the big fundamental conversations for me that's like, is this structure of relays really going to work and scale?
I want to jump in about paid relays versus free relays because I've been very vocal about it from the very beginning that I think paying for relays, to me, that's an anti-pattern. And I would compare it to, do you ever pay to use a Bitcoin node? Do you pay to have your transaction broadcast? Well, to use a Lightning node? Mm-hmm. But in the context of on-chain transacting, obviously you pay a fee that miners collect, but nobody is used to paying a fee just to be able to use a node. You expect that running a node is easy enough, that the burden of an individual user is not too high to run their own node, and nodes are essentially a public service, right? Well, okay, I'm not referring to the physical hardware, just the ability to broadcast a transaction. Nobody has tried to set up a marketplace for broadcasting transactions. There you go, let's see it. I could imagine maybe a marketplace for a more private way to broadcast. Yeah, and perhaps it could provide more private relaying of transactions, and Nostr would probably be a great place to build that. We could use Nostr relays as like a new transport layer for Bitcoin transactions, possibly even Lightning transactions. I think it would be really cool to build a space chain on Nostr, and you know, I might be accused of shitcoining, but okay.
Just my last piece is like I think we need to square the circle of like what relays are supposed to be doing, because like with Bitcoin, with Lightning, you're running a node, you kind of know there's a certain agreement of what you're signing up to store and to add to the network. But with Nostr, that's not really clear. Like, am I a paid relay? Am I trying to get paid for it? Am I hosting my own relay for my own personal use? Oh, don't use my relay. But then they also, the fact that they're not talking to each other, it just seems like a misalignment of incentives. And we need to decide how do we get people, incentivize people to actually run relays to where Nostr can be around and have a good experience and then continue to scale. Like, that's the real problem to solve, is the incentives and what is going to get people to run relays, but at the same time without centralizing Nostr, which I feel like the paid relay direction takes us. That's all.
Thank you, Austin. Jana, come on up. Jana may ask a question. She doesn't want to come up. Jana wants me to respond to a question. She said, I think we're in a moment where Nostr should be a free service. Yeah, I agree. She said, is Nostr like a library? Well, there's a lot to read there. So I'm not sure what you mean, but do you mean, to me, a library is a developer tool. Or do you mean like a public library paid for by taxes? She doesn't mean that, she says. You don't pay for what?
You're referring to like what is
So I think she's asking. Okay, so she wants to present this idea. A library is a free place to go get books. Except it's not. But let's pretend it is for a second. Is that Nostr? I don't. So if Nostr remains that, then I think it'll die. My personal opinion is that in four years from now, Nostr will either have died because it will have been spammed to death, or it will be a paid service, and paid relays will be the only ones left. That's what I think the future holds. But you can come up and disagree with me if you want. So Jana, can you repeat that? I didn't hear it. She says libraries are paid for because there's infrastructure that supports them, and maybe we could build some underlying infrastructure for Nostr. I like the Stacker News model, where in order to post on Stacker News, you have to like fund a wallet with a certain amount of satoshis and then post there. And I think if, in fact, Mr. Stacker himself, who made Stacker News, if he just if he makes a Nostr client that does the same thing, that'd be game. That'd be baller. So that'd be sweet. All right, I want to move on to the next thing. Is everyone okay with that? Or we got more. What do we got? What's the next comment?
about this for you as well. But I'll make it a long discussion. I would like a tool to be able to create private keys offline instead of into various clients. Let me elaborate.
Max wants a tool to create private keys offline. There are tools for creating Bitcoin private keys offline, and you could use one of them. Like I remember one of the most cypherpunk things I ever did was getting some dice and a pad and paper, and I like rolled the dice and wrote down the numbers and then did some math to turn them into a Bitcoin private key, and it was awesome. So you can do that with Nostr too. You can just put it into the Nostr public key generator, one of the Nostr public key generator tools, and it'll give you your public key. But yeah, making a thing that makes that easy for people or giving them instructions would be super awesome. By the way, when this gentleman was talking, he gave me an idea that I think would be super cool. He mentioned that I might make a meme that says drive chains are great, and then the server I'm hosting it on might change it to say Nostr sucks. That sounds like a product to me, my friend. What if you could make a server where you make two versions of the meme, one that's pro drive chain, for example, and one that's anti. And then when a client tries to access that so they can show it to their viewer, you check whether, based on their social history, they're pro drive chain or anti, and then show them the one that they would like, that they're more likely to hit like on. And then if you do that, you'd frickin' be baller because you'd be getting likes from both sides on the same post. We got a question from Wei who said, "Who's funding that?" I'm not thinking of. Oh, she said, "If you." Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg will do it for us. He's going to provide the funding to create a server where you can host two images instead of one. I don't know. Hosting images online seems like a solved problem. But okay, so that's an idea. Next month, there is a real world Nostr event. We love these things. We love meeting each other in the real world. I suppose like every week, every month, we have one here. So this is a real world Nostr event. But there's going to be Nostrich Karaoke Night at Bitcoin 2023. So if you are going to Miami in May, well, I guess it's this month now, isn't it? That was fast. This month, May 19th at 9 p.m., feel free to go to Bitcoin or Nostrich Karaoke Night at this location. All right, cool. So there's a real world Nostr event coming up, and a fun one, not like a dev one like this. All right, I'm not getting tagged out. So the next thing I wanted to go over is charts and graphs. Keep the fun going with statistics. That's the way. I saw this on the same YouTube video that I was showing earlier. This is a chart that compares Nostr, which is the red line down here, and its activity on GitHub, with Bitcoin, which is the blue line over here, and the Lightning Network daemon by LND, which is down here. And the interesting thing about this is Nostr's blown up a lot faster than Bitcoin did. Like Bitcoin took, 6 years to get to the point where Nostr's already reached in a few months. And LND, which is practically the whole Lightning Network, Nostr's already surpassed it in terms of interest in just a small amount of time. Topher mentions that no one uses Go. I didn't know that. The blue line is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's GitHub repository, and the amount of activity on it is measured in terms of stars. I mean, people who that's effectively a like. It's much higher than Nostr for sure, but Nostr reached this stage much quicker. Nostr's only been around 2 years, and it's already at 10,000 likes, whereas Bitcoin, to reach the same period, it took it 6 years. So Nostr's blown up fast, which is kind of cool. I think the question is checking how many stars it has a good metric to capture the entire. No, nothing is a good metric to capture everything. So the stars are not a good metric for that, but they are a good metric for just general interest, I think, among developers. Also, you can change the alignment. So this one shows like when they were created, which is kind of cool. So it's a nice little feature. Okay, so that is the first chart I wanted to show you. The next one is bad news. This is about retention curves, which is a new concept to me. I've never heard of retention curves before, but this shows the drop-off rate, basically, with Nostr. And if you focus on just recently, all these little things up here let you change what you're looking at. If you focus on just recently, I think this is saying 0.08% of users who sign up for Nostr are still on it by day 2. And it drops to 0.05% by day 3. And it drops even further and lower after that. So we have a bad retention problem. It gets a little bit better if you look at, here half a percent of people are still on it by day 2. And over here, these are like different waves of oncomers. So people who signed up during this month of February, more than 1% of them were still on Nostr by day 2, but less than 1% by day 4. It's kind of neat. This is a cool chart, I think. So the best rates were 5 and 6% in the first waves of Nostr adoption. 5 or 6% of people stuck around at least for 2 days, and some of them were even there still by day 8. So Topher has a comment. What do you got, Topher? Topher asks, what if they're just counting all new key pairs? And I don't know if they're counting all new key pairs or ones with profile history or ones that are actively making posts. Carr points out that he rarely uses Nostr because it sucks, right? No, I'm kidding. I don't know how they're measuring this. There might be information on this page that tells, oh, look at that. High quality public keys are public keys with non-zero trust rank. So they've got some kind of ranking system. You can click there to learn more about it. It's fake news. We heard it here first. Jana pointed out that she anecdotally hears people say that. I have too, that they sign up for Nostr, they get confused, and then they leave. The experience of the person who just saw a bunch of Jack Dorsey posts on Damus and wasn't following anyone else. That could be a frustrating or rather confusing thing to happen. So that's something. Hi, Ben. Good to see you. We're doing a round robin style, so anyone can tag me out, and then he has to present. Just be aware of that. Okay, next one I wanted to show you is zap.life. We've definitely covered this one before, but this shows you zaps in the last 4 hours and how much Bitcoin has been zapped. And I just think it's really cool to see, number go up, that people are really using this thing for whatever they're doing on it. So like 500,000 sats in the last 4 hours is pretty cool. And you can just see it in real time. Somebody just zapped that guy. That's pretty sweet. Great website. I hope we can keep coming back to this whenever we do NostrDevs to just see, how the ecosystem is thriving in terms of monetary. Austin has a comment. Is it a comment you want to come up for? Austin's got a comment. Woo, Austin!
I just want to say, like, I had this thought last week about Nostr and Zaps specifically. Like, a lot of like the altcoins and the whatever alternative ideas in the crypto ecosystem, like they're trying to build a network and try to build a monetized network that's maybe distributed, decentralized, has certain features, blah blah blah. I think that Nostr sets a new bar for a shitcoin as far as like, why can't you do what Nostr did? As far as like, why can't you make a network that's already so valuable to people, so inherently valuable that it gets adoption and then it monetizes itself? So that's what Nostr has done, where the shitcoin approach is I bootstrap a network from zero and I'm monetizing it from zero. And to be a part of it at all, you need to buy in. It's like, well, actually, you should show me that it's valuable enough and then I'll monetize it with, my own interactions. And I think that's one thing that Nostr can represent, whether it fails or not. That's really cool. That's all.
Woo! I have no criticism of that comment. Wei has a question. She reminds me of my prediction that in 4 years, all the relays will be paid and the other ones will all be dead. Wei asks why companies specifically will pay to use a relay, and I think it's because that's where the people are. I think if like it's similar to Twitter, what Twitter's doing. Why are companies paying $8 to get a verified badge on Twitter? It's because they want that audience to see them with that badge and say this is really Lockheed Martin or whatever. And I think the same thing's going to happen. Well, I hope the same thing happens with Nostr relays, because if it doesn't, I think it'll die. Wei asks if Zaps will help keep Nostr alive. Yeah, I think they are. I think they are currently helping. I don't know if they are the fundamental way, but I think there's got a really good chance. They're really cool. They do need to get easier to implement, though. At least I find it extremely difficult to implement Zaps, and I hope that tools come out for doing that in an easier way. Actually, they are. I'm going to go over some of them. Max is.
Model will be forced to adopt advertising, so you'll be able to pay for relay to advertise the product or skill, and then that will just broadcast those relays. You'll have both paid relays and then the free relays, but the free relays will have some form of advertising which they can monetize to keep that running.
Max pointed out that you can have free relays as long as they're paid for through advertising, which means you can have paid relays. Yeah. It does. When I say there have to be paid relays, I do not mean that the users have to pay. Someone has to pay to keep those things running, though, because there's considerable costs to running a relay, and no one's going to do it for free. People are doing it for free right now, but they stop after they realize it's costly. Topher has a comment. What's up, Topher? If you're going to disagree with me, you got to come up here. Come on up. Tag me out. Tag me out.
All right, so I'm challenging you on your assertion that relays will be paid in the future.
All right.
So,
This is the man to do it.
yeah. So I believe that data is going to be more valuable in the future, especially with AI becoming more open source. So there might be other incentives for people to collect data in which that they actually want to remove all barriers for you to post data on their platform so they can collect it from you. And that might be a more voluntary use case where there's this healthy relationship between the clients and the server operator where you're voluntarily giving up your data in exchange for a service. Also, social media is just one use case. There's a lot more use cases for Nostr, including relays that are forward-only relays that don't actually store any data at all or store very limited data. So that's all I have to say.
So all the data on Nostr is public, so you're not able to like monetize data that anyone can get for free from your relay. So no, I don't agree. But I do agree with your second point. The stuff that I build is a lot of machine-to-machine stuff. The stuff that I use on Nostr is rarely social media things. And those don't need relays to stick around. Like a relay can pop up, you can use it for like an hour and then be done with it. And that stuff doesn't like that stuff is fine even if they're just popping up and down all the time because of costliness. So I agree with that.
So let's take a Nostr store for an example. So if you create a relay that is sole purpose is just to do Nostr store stuff, and so really all you're storing is people's storefronts. Yeah, so Nostr store is a relay. Well, Nostr store is a protocol where you can essentially use a Nostr node to create a storefront, and then people can find your storefront and they can buy stuff. Is it Nostr store XYZ? Did I get it right?
Are you talking about my thing?
Yes, your thing.
That's Superstore.
Oh, Superstore. I'm sorry.
Right.
Superstore.
Yeah, I'll bring up Superstore.
Yeah, you should bring up Superstore. It's a cool project.
It's on the list, but we're not getting to the list today. So
Yeah, so if you're using a relay to facilitate discovery for all these cool projects like doing a store or like doing like a liquidity marketplace, like maybe you'll be collecting fees for a different service and you're just really using a relay to provide that service. You're not really charging for using the relay itself. You may be collecting fees in another way. Would you still consider that a paid relay?
I wasn't listening.
So if you're running a relay just for Superstore and you're not charging for people to post on Superstore, but maybe you insert a fee where if some transaction takes place, you're charging for a transaction, but you're not charging for using the relay and posting. Would you still consider that a paid relay?
Yeah, I would. You're charging sometimes. Like most of the paid relays don't charge you every single time you post. They charge you like either a monthly fee or they charge you an upfront fee. And then you're doing the same thing. You're saying, I'll charge you every time you post this type of event. So yeah, I'd say that's still a paid relay.
What if you're only charging on, let's say you have a storefront that's facilitating transactions and you're charging for the transaction, but not for the post. Is that still considered a paid relay?
Yeah, I would consider that a paid relay.
Okay. Well, then I guess we disagree on that too.
I don't think we do.
All right, I rest my case.
I think we probably agree then. You're just saying you can monetize through other ways, and I'm just saying, yeah, that still counts. So, yeah.
Agreed.
Great. Everyone have fun with that? Should we do more debates? Is that a thing? More debates? All right, people like the debates. Next thing so we got through the charts and graphs, and I haven't even gotten tagged out yet. This is awesome. New clients that have come out recently. I'm only aware of 2. I'm sure there's 30, but OstrichGram is one. This one reminds me of Enigma. So this is what, man, the internet's kind of being slow. This is what it looks like. I think it looks pretty cool. So you got an app and you got your contact list over here. You got the current channel you're in or whoever you're talking to over there, and you can write messages. Doesn't that look awesome? I love the look of this thing. I don't know what these buttons over here do, but yeah, this is a pretty cool looking thing, and it's even got support for multiple relays and stuff. I love seeing this kind of thing. So A new chat client for Nostr. Maybe Nostr's Telegram channel can finally move over to a decent chat client now. Now that perhaps there is one. So yeah, NostrDevs came out and you can download it. It is available for the following platforms. Whatever you can compile it on. He doesn't have release files or binaries or apps. But let's see what it's written in. It's written in Dart. So it still needs some work. We need to compile binaries for this and submit them to them so he can say, download the Windows version here, download the iOS version here. That'll be sweet. But yeah, check out NostrDevs, compile it, and get going. Another one is a web client called Let's Nostr. And I like that this one's really clean. There's no, what'd you say, Car? Oh, a terrible name. OstrichGram and Let's Nostr are both bad names. Get better with your naming, guys. We can help. Come to NostrDevs. We'll crowdfund names for you. Crowdsource names for you. But this one, I like it. It's really clean. I think that it really focuses your attention on the center, and I really like that. So, Let's Nostr. Try it out. Let's see what happens when you click topics. I've never seen. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really nice. Let's click Zapathon. Yeah, right there. That's really cool. Good job, Let's Nostr, giving people hashtags. All right, cool. Next, cool new tools. Okay, so there's a lot of cool new tools this month, and it's just gonna keep. Yeah, Yeah, he mentioned earlier that he was like, perhaps at some point someone's gonna make an OnlyFans for Bitcoin. Well, here you can explore people's feet at Footster, and then zap them if you really like their bare ankles. So, would it? Okay, I don't think this one's a real foot. The middle one right there, I think that's AI generated because it thought his arms were ankles. But so yeah, Footster, that's a thing. Started from the bottom today. Wavelake is one. It doesn't work in Firefox. I had to write myself a note. It doesn't play music. So I will open it up in Chrome, so you can see this. Wavelake.com is a new music experience for Nostr, where you hit play and it plays. Maybe it's not working on here either. Oh, it's muted. And it just plays whatever someone's loaded onto there. You can skip songs and you can zap people if you really like their song. So it's kind of cool. Nice little music experience for Nostr. And if you're a musical artist, feel free to upload your stuff to there. I don't know. The question is, do you pay to upload a song? I don't know. Go check it out if you want to find out. A question came, why does this need Nostr? I don't think it needs it, but it helps that to be. You don't have to rebuild the wheel on Zaps if you want to. You can't log in with Nostr? I think it is Nostr. Oh, that doesn't look like. So is this not Nostr? Have I been bamboozled? Oh, this is Nostr. Sorry. Okay. I've ruined it. Tag me out.
This is a Nostr only event. If somebody's going to come up here and shield non-Nostr products, I think we need to kick them out. So the debate came up a minute ago as to whether is Nostr necessary for value for value, whether it's podcasting or music services. I mean, clearly the concept is already implemented in Fountain without Nostr. I would argue that Nostr is necessary to make value for value work effectively, because one of the problems you could see with, like, say, a music platform like this is what's to prevent somebody from misattributing someone else's work and then they get paid for it. So by bringing in the identities that are on Nostr, the social graph, and an author being able to sign that this is really their work, I think it can solve that problem and help, maybe not completely solve it, but at least help to where more of the value for value payments actually go to the content creator. I think in any system like that, you're always going to have a portion of the value go to content discovery, right? People who recommend, say, music or even podcasts in your feed, they're definitely going to get some value for value from that as well.
Can you wrap us up? Because it's almost fun and time for a magazine.
Okay, what do you got?
At the end, I found the app.
Oh, what app is it?
So again, this is another use case for Nostr. I couldn't find it on Nostr right away.
All right, let's look at waveman.app. Oh, nice. So is it .app? Let's check it out. Yeah, I like the idea of people who already built a value for value app like Fountain. I would love for them to like make a new app or integrate Nostr into their app. I think apps like Orange Pill app really need to pay attention to Nostr or they're just going to get left behind. So yeah, here we can actually do a NIP7 login. I don't think it's set up on this browser to be able to do that, but this seems like a step in the right direction. I think the Nostr integration is going to take an idea like that really far. And it's way simpler, as Super Testnet pointed out. And it's way cuter. Is there anything else people want to see? There's Nostr Wallet Connect is pretty cool. Has anyone used that here?
Really excited about it, right?
Okay, let's check out Stacker News. I know they added these. It's basically like subreddits. So now I've been saying, since I got into Nostr, I kept saying when Nostr News. I think we have it now. So you can just go to the Nostr feed on Stacker News. And I assume that this is going to be made into a Nostr client, or I guess Mr. Stacker might be making a separate Nostr client. Does anyone know what that is? Outer.space. That's a great name. I actually want to call my space chain Outer Space Chain. I thought you were against it. This is what's great about Super Testnet. He'll help attack the things that he likes. Let's give it up for Super.
So there's a lot of stuff we didn't cover, and so I'm just going to put up the QR code, the QR code generator. So if anyone wants to go over the rest of this stuff, feel free to scan this QR code on the right, and there you go. But yeah, it is now time for magazines. So the next event of the day is to learn how to. Sorry, zines. Not magazines. We're going to learn how to make zines, which are cooler than magazines. And Jana is going to present that. So give it up for, yeah.